Welcome to Where's My Money? One man, $1 million of debt, one podcast to find a way out.
Welcome back to Where's My Money? Full disclosure, this episode is, well, it's pretty different. We talk a lot about money on the show, but today we're going deeper, a lot deeper. I want to get into the nuts and bolts of who I am and what drives me and why I make the choices I do. Because here's the thing, your values, your purpose, and the way you see the world, they shape how you earn, spend, save, and invest. And that's the real foundation behind the numbers. It's you. Ask me, ask anyone that knows me. I wouldn't call myself a particularly good long-term thinker or planner or a goal setter. In fact, I'm terrible at all of those things. But if I want to change that, I'm going to need to unpack me. To help unpack me, I've brought in an expert because I wouldn't be very good at doing that at all. Self-leadership coach and a good friend of the pod, Sue Kohn-Taylor, is back. Sue's going to push me, challenge me, and help me lay it all out so you can hear not just what I do with my money, my career, and the choices I make, but why. It's not theory, it's the story behind all the decisions that I make. It's pretty personal, and it's something I hope you can take a little insight from when it comes to your own purpose and eventually your own money. Welcome back to the Where's My Money studio. I have to try and think of how to bring this topic back to life because I think we've teased this for quite a few months as the ultimate deconstruction of me as a human being.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? I guess when people are setting goals and talking about what their financial hopes and dreams are, they kind of need to understand who they are first, right?
Absolutely.
And sitting down with any kind of financial advisor, they're often going to ask you, what are your goals and why are those your goals? And that's kind of made me realize I don't know why I am who I am and what drives me. So you reached out a few months ago and offered to basically break me down bit by bit.
I didn't.
You did. You said you did say that. No, you've offered to sort of find out what my why is, and obviously this is something that you do for a job.
Yep.
But it takes how long with a regular client?
Minimum time for me is 6 months with someone because you need people to reflect, and we squashed a whole lot of stuff in just a few weeks.
Yeah, so I did a bit of homework for you.
Yeah.
I filled out my compass of life and figured out some buzzword values that kind of that reached out to me on a page. And now you've done all your homework and you've come back to explain to me why I am Reagan.
Well, I'm going to explain a little bit more that might help you understand the behaviours behind it. And often what I say to people is, life often mirrors where we need to change or where we need to have some self-awareness. And for most people, we don't have self-awareness. We don't, do that belly button gazing, navel gazing to go, actually, who am I? What drives me? Why am I the way that I am?
Is that because we're so busy just trying to get through?
Yeah. So I see, and a lot of the work that I do is with people to say, get off autopilot, because we just keep doing without questioning. And the more tired we become, the more absorbed we come into the busyness, we just keep doing it and we don't question.
And there's a good parallel to draw there between our financial habits and our own sense of self. Like if you're doing the same thing over and over again and not getting anywhere, that's the definition of stupidity, or it's just bad habits that don't actually progress anywhere and you're just kind of floating and ambling your way through.
Yeah, you do, because you don't have a real understanding or what I say, an intention, because where are you going? What are you aiming for? And I love the work that you've been doing on the show about money and drivers and stories and all of that kind of stuff, because that is an extension of this.
Yeah.
And so many people struggle with money, get themselves into problems with money, but can't seem to understand why they don't get ahead, because they don't go deeper into actually who am I and what's driving my behaviour.
Well, generally it's just I want more. When the money problem is I don't have enough of it. But you can get out of that kind of mindset. It's just understanding how and then why you want to do that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where's My Money is sponsored by Enable Me. Figuring out financials can be daunting. Master your money and stop living paycheck to paycheck. Get practical tips and expert advice on budgeting, debt management, and savings with Enable Me. helping Kiwis get money fit.
So where I thought we'd start was just a little bit about the work that you did for me, which was about the Wheel of Life, which is a really great snapshot, or the compass of life, I should call it, a really quick snapshot for you to look and go, where am I satisfied? Where am I not satisfied? What's working? What's not working? Because often we always look at, that's the money, it's the relationship, it's my work or my health, and we stop there.
Yeah.
But as you would have seen, there were 10 different areas
Yeah.
to actually focus on. And so what I did was bring it back to the ones that you rated the lowest, which was money, purpose and why, and career and self-development. I didn't bring that in because here we are doing this now.
Here we are, yeah, of course.
And I thought those would be more impactful for you. And then I got you to look at your values, because values are a framework that we subconsciously work from, and yet often we don't understand what our values are. But it's that what really matters to me will drive your behaviour. But so often, reverting back to that busyness, we forget to tune in with them. And so therefore it's that incongruence, and often it's that uncomfortableness where you're going against your values, but you don't realise it because you're not tuned in. And then you did something else for me, which was the human need drivers, for us to understand what is driving some of your behaviour. And that was really interesting because it tied it into a few other things.
I love seeing the smirk on your face, because I've got some answers for you. Well, it's fair to say I'm not tuned in with my values, because I'm not. But am I alone in this? To find out, the Where's My Money team hit the streets to ask some real-life Kiwis.
G'day there, my name's Lachlan. Today, we're asking people what motivates them when they're getting out of bed in the mornings, they're going to work, they're doing their jobs. What is it that gets them going? What do they value?
A good breakfast.
I think it's good to do something you enjoy doing, but I think it's also important when you enjoy doing something to kind of learn the things that you don't know so well, and, when you get better at them, you enjoy them more.
What motivates you?
Well, I always love a snack from the vending machine.
The work vending machine just over there?
Yeah, just over there, yeah.
So,
Especially the chocolate brownie.
So I'm going to start with your values, because we know that career, money, purpose and why on your compass of life were the areas that you wanted more satisfaction in. And so when we looked at your values, you came back to your core values, which were creativity, success, but we, after a conversation, turned that into growth and achievement, because success is a bit of an outcome rather than a value.
Yeah.
But it's still, I get why you want success, and success is important. Impact, influence, humour, gratitude, and you had logic, and when we had a conversation about it was more about having clarity. So you're still in alignment with those?
Yeah, no, they all seem to sort of, if you wrote those on a page, they'd still jump out at me.
It'd still jump out at you. So really, it's understanding what those really mean for you. And one of the ones that really stood out to me was about success, about your achievement. What does that mean for you in terms of achieving it? How do you live that? How do you bring meaning to it?
Yeah, and that's a tricky one, because if we're talking career-wise, I've only ever done one thing. I've worked in radio since I studied and got a job in radio, and that was all I ever wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So I've just done it, but constantly trying to climb the ladder. But it's, like in any workplace, you could do that your entire life, and actually kind of, you're climbing the ladder, but you're going sideways, and you're going this way. And so I feel like the feeling of success for me was to be promoted constantly and get pay rises and be recognised for being good at something.
Yep.
To me, that was kind of it.
And how did that make you feel as you kept on?
Well, it makes
achieving?
you feel good, because every couple of years you get a little bit more money, and then people recognise you for being good or better at something.
Yep.
And hopefully over the course of many years you become very good at something. But I guess what I haven't done is figured out what the end game is there.
Correct, because where are you heading?
Well, no, it's like chasing the white dragon through the forest.
Yeah.
You're just constantly chasing it.
Yeah, and it's next. So it's having that substance beneath that value to say, why is that important to me, and where am I going with it to actually achieve? Because otherwise you'll just keep going and going and going. But when do you actually stop and give yourself that, hey, I am successful, I am achieving, this is really great.
That's right.
It's always next.
And get to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like,
And celebrate it.
I've had so many good jobs where it's like, oh, this is a stepping stone to the next one, but how many stepping stones do there have to be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something that we're going to come back to about, how does that affect you? And even looking at success and achievement in money.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
What does that look like?
I guess what I've learned from the podcast is being debt free. I mean, the idea of buying a house was always the measure of success.
Yeah.
In New Zealand and in our family, like we wanted to buy a house, we did that, we upsized, obviously caused some problems. But again, what is the end game? I don't know.
Yeah.
We are very successful because we have a beautiful house and a great family inside it. But when do I get to go?
So
cool.
interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know, because it's like, where am I heading? And what I saw across a whole lot of stuff that we did together was that bigger picture stuff is actually missing, or the real heart of what's behind it. But there are some drivers that you might be able to help me understand that you might be driving from the wrong perspective,
Right.
or a perspective that's not heart-based enough for you.
Yeah.
And then the logic and the clarity. How much, what does that tell me about that?
Yeah, it was an interesting one. It was those words kind of just stuck out to me on the page, and that's because that's kind of the filter I put everything through. Is trying to, often I try and strip emotion out of decision making and go, what's the most logical option here? Like, I'm quite sciencey. I'm not religious.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads me through to logic. Like, if there's evidence to prove something, then we believe it and we go forth on. That's the decision making method.
Yes.
I think that's a value because I just believe in evidence-based stuff.
Yeah, and I get that. And I think by the time we had a conversation, you said, it's probably more also about clarity, that you like to understand everything and why we're doing stuff and the outcome and everything else, which is great. And so those in itself, I come back to for you to say, even with clarity, how much clarity do you have around your own life and what you want? Because if that's a really core value, what do you want out of your career? What do you want out of your finances? What do you want out of your relationships, your family, your health, those sorts of things?
Yeah, yeah. And I guess it's not stuff I've ever put on paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess there's clarity in terms of what I want, but there's also the feeling of being able to control it. I think that's probably something that sends me into spirals often. It's the same with money. I just want to be in control.
Yes.
And so much seems out of my control.
Yes. So this is a really interesting part of the work that you did. And it's probably quite a good place just to quickly jump over to, is this was part of your human need drivers. And it came up with some really interesting outputs. And they were actually, your human need drivers is what often drives your behaviour underneath. And there's reasons for that because, as you know, we're conditioned to think different ways and self-beliefs and what we've learned along the way. And your number one driver is about growth. And I don't think you'd be surprised about that. It's about growing who you are, growing in your job, growing financially and all of those things.
Yep.
Growth is really important to you. And your number two was actually significance, the need to be significant. And when you reflect back to that conversation that we just had about success, about being the person that people come to. Influence.
Yeah. Influence, significance, all words that on the surface make me feel a bit icky. The need to be liked and the need to be appreciated for something. I don't know. I feel like I hate tooting my own horn, but producer Lockie had a pretty good idea.
Oh, before you go, because we're at Reagan's workplace, we thought we'd actually ask his colleagues what they think motivates him.
It's a great question. Definitely free McDonald's and money as well. I mean, he's got a podcast for it, here we are. But I think really, he's incredibly creative, really, really creative. And I think putting his creativity into his work with radio, seeing the results and getting the ratings, that's a big driver. And I'd say also his family as well and his kids, loves them a bit. So shows up for them, I suppose.
What do you think motivates Reagan?
A company car. Know him very well. I would say anything Toy Story related, whether it's like figurines, there's a new movie coming out, he loves that.
Yep.
He also loves a cold pint at an RSA, or the RSC Greyland specifically, he loves that.
We all love that, don't we? Ben, you work closely with Reagan. What do you think motivates him?
If I know.
You've got a really strong driver about being significant. And with these human need drivers, there are really positive things to them, but there can also be negative things to them. And so I want to come back and discuss what significance means to you and why it is so important, because it showed up really strongly in the work that we did together. And for you to actually understand, why is that important to me? Why do I need to be significant in my world? And the third one, and this kind of goes against a little bit about what you're talking about, but one of your other drivers was about having variety. Yeah?
Yeah.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
You need a lot of variety.
Yeah.
And yet part of what you were saying is you also need that certainty.
Yeah.
And so you've got this really at odds where you're desperate for variety and doing lots of things,
Yes.
but you also recognise that you need that stability
Yeah.
and that certainty underneath. And yet your certainty driver was actually your lowest.
And is that an age thing? Like, is this a midlife crisis coming to life before my very eyes?
No.
Because I through my 20s, it was, it's a party lifestyle. There's
Yes.
lots to do. There's always something
Yep.
on, and then you settle down and have a family and kids, and you do want stability and a quiet night every
Yeah.
now and then.
Yeah.
But that's where I feel like I'm at odds, because I want to be doing lots, and I also want to be doing nothing at the same time.
Yeah, and I think that's
That's probably surface level.
I was just about to say that's probably a little bit surface level, but
Yep.
the drive for, let's unpack significance, for example. If you are significant, and what does that mean to you? How do you see it around you, and how does that make you feel?
I think people being able to trust in me and come to me for not validation, but
Yep.
confirmation of their skills. Does that make sense?
To a degree, but I think there's more there. Because, out of some of the conversations that we've had and the work that you've done, it's important for you to kind of be recognised.
Yeah.
And why does that matter to you?
I guess I've just always wanted to be everyone's friend.
Yeah. And what do you get out of that?
Is it social status?
Status?
Yeah.
Does it make you feel worthy on the inside, maybe?
Maybe. Working in media, you're around a lot of big personalities, and maybe
Yep.
it's trying to keep up with a lot of those people around me
Yep.
and feel like I fit in
Yeah.
to that group.
And when you think about doing that and striving to be significant, energetically, how does that feel?
It can have spikes of high energy,
Yeah.
but it's probably not a good use of my own personal energy if it's constantly striving to be recognised.
Yeah.
Particularly when you've only got so many kilowatts in the brain to apply to a day.
Often significance can be driven from a lack of our own self-worth. And so I just invite you to think about that in terms of, is that connected to my worthiness in the world? To have that. Because if it is, money will be a huge driver, because then it makes you feel good that you go,
That's the metric.
I'm significant.
Yeah.
Do you see how it connects?
That's my worth, because I'm being paid
Yeah.
now what I think I am worth.
Yes, and I live in an amazing house and I drive a fast car and a sports car. It can keep amplifying the more that you feel like you need to be significant.
Yeah.
And often in social networks, we see this all the time, that people are, that whole keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah, no, I think I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
For sure, even though we talk about it all the time and how it's an unnecessary evil.
Yeah.
it's
So
certainly
it's-
something I'm guilty of.
Yeah. And so it would be good for you just to ponder that, to go, why do I need that? Because, if we're constantly looking at our self-worth externally, then we can be hugely dependent on our external environment, about people, how they engage with us, whether we're invited. Did I get the house? Has Bob, my friend down the road, got a better car than me now?
And all
Am I being left behind? And all of that stuff that comes into play.
most of which is not in your control, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we always come back to that internal us of being, self-sufficient to be able to go, everything that I bring to me around me adds value to my life. But if I'm constantly looking externally to validate myself, to make myself feel good, to give me, what I need to feel good to live in this world, then you're really exposed. So it's finding that foundation within yourself.
I understand.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And so the other one is about the uncertainty, the variety, the crave for variety. So if you're looking for that variety, how do you think that impacts the way you live, the way you achieve things, your goals, all of those sorts of things?
I think it prevents me from settling into good habits. Well, not settling, because you probably can't just settle into them. You've got to create them. I think the constant need to be doing something or doing something different or trying new things or gets in the way of good, positive habits for me, as an employee, as a dad. It's I should be getting to bed earlier and getting up earlier to be able to create a good day for everyone else.
Yeah.
But I'm putting last minute opportunities in the way where I've got to be doing something exciting because I feel like I don't want to miss out. It's FOMO. There's a lot of FOMO.
You do have FOMO. It came up as well of, where am I at? Am I here? Am I there? What else?
And that probably ties into recognition too.
Correct.
Because I have to be seen at the thing.
See, you're coaching yourself.
Yeah, I know.
Because I need to be seen. I need to be there. Why wasn't I there?
Yeah.
Why wasn't I invited? It gets even worse.
Yeah, massive FOMO.
Yep. And that ties in with the significance. And so you're absolutely right. If you've got that constant variety and that need, it's really hard to create a framework or rituals that are going to work for you.
Yeah.
So rituals that do make your money system successful, rituals that do let you keep building your career, that's really satisfying. Rituals that keep your health on track.
Yeah.
And those sorts of things. So we need the framework, and the framework becomes so important. And variety is good because it keeps it interesting, life interesting, but there's also that balance. But what I can tell you from coaching hundreds and hundreds of people is that, the consistency of doing stuff, having intention, knowing what you want, where you're going, and having the intention every single day. It's about leading yourself every day to have that consistency and that intention.
Yeah.
And you will naturally get the dopamine hits because you'll be going, yep, achieved that. I got there. Yeah, this is working.
Yeah.
I feel so connected to what I'm doing. But if it's like, I'm going here, there, I want to go, why didn't I get invited? It's like that constant up, down, because you're living your life externally.
Yeah.
Looking for what you need on the inside.
Yeah. Yeah, as you're talking, I'm thinking about all the...
I can see your brain going...
Yeah, I know. And it's thinking back to school, it was the constant chase of being a leader. It was
there you
a
go.
prefect, head boy. I was head boy, and it was being in the band and being head boy and doing theatre sports, the class clowny kind of... All those kind of work together in terms of, look at me, significant guy, and then... going to broadcasting school and I've got to be the boss of the radio station, and then my goal was always to be the boss of the radio station, and I did that. So then what was next? It was kind of just
interesting.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with having that driver, but it's understanding what's behind it. Because it is, if it is about that self-value, then it's understanding what story am I believing. And you and I have had this conversation before about we all have these self-beliefs about ourselves that are formed from when we're a child.
Yeah.
And some of the most common ones are I'm not good enough, I'm not attractive enough, I'm not, all of that, I'm not.
Yeah.
And so if you look back for yourself as a young one, there will be some belief that you picked up about something that happened or the way that you lived that drove you to go, no, I want to be significant, I want people to see me, know me. Does anything come to mind?
No. I mean, outside of your normal high school hierarchies of the cool group and the nerdy kids, I was probably more in the nerdy type, and I wanted to traverse that gap and make it into the cool kids club. My parents always encouraged me to go for those leadership roles. Mum's always been big on leadership, community board, both
so you
police
have good
officers.
Driven, yep. So good driven parents. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then also maybe growing up with 2 police officers made me want to break out of the sort of, not that I lived in an overly conservative household, but constrictive and go do the fun stuff.
Yep.
And that's when I noticed I was good at some of the fun stuff, whether it was acting or singing or...
Yes.
And all of a sudden, the arts is a way to get recognised because you're acting, you're in front of people, you've got a crowd.
Yeah.
And maybe I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Breaking free.
And sometimes it is about that because you feel like I'm contained in this and this isn't me, so therefore I need to break out. It can also be that driver to prove yourself to other people, to go, see, I don't need to be like you to actually be something else and actually prove myself to be successful.
Yeah. What am I trying to prove? So there is a constant attempt to be good at everything.
Yeah.
And
Why?
Why? Because I've spoken with this about my boss a number of times. I was always a yes man because I wanted to take every opportunity I could.
Yeah.
That's probably the variety thing coming into play. But you become the
but ambition, and that's a good thing to say yes.
It comes from a good place, but you do run the risk of becoming the jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
In our industry, being a jack of all trades is really good, but actually being a master of one thing is probably a better way to earn more money and get recognition that way. Yeah. More publicly facing. So there's lots of different...
What do you feel so far about what we've talked about? Is it raising more questions?
There are certainly questions, but I think a lot of it was probably stuff I already knew. But it's often stuff that I will probably knock myself down about as well. Like the chase for significance particularly makes me feel like I'm a bit selfish.
Why?
Well, naturally, if you are chasing significance as a human being, it sounds like you just want to be noticed, and without knowing what the end goal of that is, it sounds like you just want everyone to look at you. Yeah. So, but it feels like that's quite a self-indulgent behaviour or trait.
How would you feel if you didn't have significance?
I don't know.
If you weren't achieving, noticed, you didn't have the status that you have.
If I feel like I would be a bored human being because I want to try and enjoy this life I have.
Yeah. And that's about growth. So it's understanding, where that comes from. And growth is one of your number one drivers. So
yeah. So it doesn't have to be a bad thing. I just need to understand
the drivers behind it. Because like anything, we can be choosing to be a certain way, but what is the end game? And I feel like you have a whole lot of question marks for you about, what's the end game in your finance, your career. How do you know? Yeah. Because otherwise, how do you direct where you're going?
No, totally. I feel like if I was to visualize all these goals, they're all just, it's like they're right there, but it's all blurry and I can't actually identify what's behind the blur.
Yeah. And once you do really define those goals for those areas, and a really good way of doing that is actually coming back to that compass of life and just looking at those different areas to say, if I could get it to an 8 or a 9 out of 10, what would be happening? Yeah. What would that look like? And then punching out and going, what does that look like in 2 years' time, 3 years' time? I don't often get people to look at their goals more than 5 years out because it's a really long time.
Yeah, humans are...
Money, it can be really helpful for mortgages, that kind of stuff, because you just want to nail that kind of stuff. So it's a good... But with your other goals... if I said to you, where do you want to be in 5 years? Does that feel like a lifetime away?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just feels like another 5 years of grinding and getting through with the kids and making sure they get to soccer practice on time and making sure I can give Laura a break as much as often as I can, that's... But again, that's just grinding and doing the same.
But how does it feel around your money as a goal if you have a 5-year goal and it's like...
Oh, fantastic.
Okay, you will have paid this much off.
And that's the work we did, we're starting with Shelley now with going back to our Enable Me.
Yes.
Is knowing that if we stick to it in 5 years, we would have gone on 5 family holidays and we'll be X amount into our mortgage, because if we stick to the projections, we've got 13 years and it's gone.
Yep.
So we'll be more than a third of the way to being mortgage free. Having those goals firmly in sight now feels way better because I can visualize it. Because I worry about not being able to take the family on holidays.
Yes.
Now I know with this plan, we'll do 5 in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Because we're going to do one every fucking year.
Yeah.
That's part of the plan.
And isn't that motivational?
Totally.
Because you know where you're going. You've
Yeah.
got a vision of where you're going and what that looks like.
I guess the tricky part is doing it as a team and getting two brains
Yes.
visualizing it together.
Well, that's true. So imagine if you could have that kind of clarity around your career.
Yeah.
Around your health, but interesting if you always go back to like the structure and the framework that you have around your money and your mortgage, and you're moving ahead and you can see a direction, there's a framework behind it. So if you have a framework around your career, that's, where am I going to be in 6 months' time and how do I do that? It's about being intentional. So your money goal, you're being incredibly intentional about what you're doing and where you're going.
Do the same with everything else. Be intentional.
Yeah, intentional, but have a vision or goal of what you want to achieve. And with things like career and some of these other areas about health, it's so much better to actually bring it back to a shorter goal, 6 months, 12 months, because then you can keep adjusting.
Yeah.
It's a bit like, being on a boat, adjusting the sails of, okay, that's not quite working, so I'll do this and I'll go there. But when you know where you want to be in 6 months' time, you'll keep making decisions and being intentional about it. So when something comes over here, you'll go, no, that doesn't get me to here.
Does that fit with this,
Yeah.
or is this just a distraction?
And so you let go of that distraction. But if your significance driver is really strong, then something might get dangled over here and you go, that makes me feel really good. I'm going to be significant. You get there and you take it, but it's not connected to your values of what you really wanted or your goal of where you're going. And then what ends up happening?
Well, you've just wasted 2-3 months of of this life by you're off track.
Yeah, and also you don't feel fulfilled because
Yeah.
you're going, how did I end up here?
Mm-hmm.
And so often we can end up in places that we just go, how did I end up here?
It was ridiculous, yeah.
Because I didn't come back to my values. I didn't come back to a decision-making process. I forgot about where I really want to be, that has meaning and has purpose. I got distracted by something shiny over here.
Yeah.
Sometimes the shiny things are good, but you want to
Well,
put an
because they're variety.
evaluation. Yeah.
This is where they go head to head, right?
Yeah.
Because you want the variety, but you don't need the distractions.
Yeah, yeah. So for you, it's being careful that variety doesn't keep pulling you off track
Yeah.
and getting really fixed on where your goals are and what you want to achieve.
Yeah. Well, that's where I am with work at the moment. Like I've got a 3-headed job because I wanted the variety, but I also wanted to be recognised for being good at 3 different things.
Yes.
But also I wanted more money, so that was the way to earn more money, was to take on more responsibilities.
So what's the upside of all of that? More money,
More money.
more recognition. Yeah. And what doesn't work about it?
I'm doing too much. I'm being pulled in too many different directions and actually letting people down
Yeah. And what else?
because there's meetings I get triple booked into meetings, and I can't, what am I meant to do?
Yeah. And how else does it make you feel?
Just tired,
And what flow and effect does that have?
bad dad.
And what flow and effect
Tired
does that have?
Reagan gets home from work, angry, grumpy, bad dad,
Yeah.
and not enough time for the kids.
And how does that make you feel?
Like I'm letting them down.
Yeah.
And like I'm not. That's not fulfilling at all.
And when you come back to those core values of yours, which was, about
Significance. I want to be a good dad in their eyes.
that
I
was
want to
a
be
driver, but from
yeah,
your
right.
values point of view, to have impact, to have clarity, to have growth, achievement.
That's all. That's putting those into the negatives by that
Yeah, 'cause
point.
it starts getting a bit diluted.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so then you start feeling that disconnect or that disruption.
Yeah, or just like things aren't making sense,
Yeah.
and I can't really make sense of why they're not making sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And so if you made that decision again and you looked at your values and what's important to you and being a good dad and all of those things, what would you do differently?
I'd certainly go through the filter of, do I need a three-headed job?
Yeah.
Even though there's a financial benefit to it.
Yes.
You know, is it worth the extra money, or am I missing out on quality time as a happy dad rather than a grumpy, tired, not overworked, but, overcommitted dad.
Yeah. And that leads into that whole so busy, haven't got time, start getting on autopilot, lose my frameworks. I'm not doing what I need to do. I'm not doing my health stuff. I'm not doing this.
No,
I'm
but then
not
also,
doing that.
and as a result of that being, fully transparent, it probably leads to some kind of self-destructive behaviours outside of that, because I need a beer.
Yeah.
I have 4 beers. No, I didn't need 4 beers, but I had 4 beers,
Yeah, so you see how it starts rolling out.
It's a spiral.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at it with that lens...
Some good coaching, Sue.
When you look at it with that lens, what could you change?
I think I know that I still enjoy my job.
Yeah, it's great.
I think I need to put better tools in place to organise my job so I'm not overcommitting myself, not letting other people down, because I think that's a bigger part of the anxiety around the job is chasing my tail and feeling guilty because I'm about to let someone down constantly.
Yes.
And that's probably not true 99% of the time. Because
No,
sometimes I do let people down, but it's thinking, who am I about to let down? Because I've overcommitted myself.
Yeah.
So it's using tools to my advantage and making sure I'm not going to let them down. I'm surrounded by productivity tools that I should be using to make sure. Well, I'm just sometimes. Some days I do, some days I don't, because I don't set good habits around.
And so you see that discipline helps the intention, helps with your energy. It helps different decision making. Because you've always got a lens. So when something comes up, you go, okay, have I got the capacity for that? Have I got the energy for that? I'd really like to do it, but I've got to pull something out to put something in. It's a bit like the old Jenga, pull a block out to put another one in.
There's a bit of FOMO there, but I think there's also, I just like saying yes. Again, it came from the ability to make myself look super valuable at work.
Yeah.
I guess when I started, I was an intern at the same time as 3 other interns, so it was pretty competitive. So it's like, if you're not the best one, you won't get a job.
You won't get a job, so you have to be.
And I never dropped that mentality, so I'm always just saying yes to stuff.
Yeah, but it comes at a cost.
Yeah.
And then what happens to you?
I hate the B word, but burnout.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from.
Yeah.
So just being conscious of it. It's not all. That's not enough, but being conscious of it is the first step to sort of managing it, right?
Yeah, because it's about that self-awareness to have that check-in instead of automatically. This is why I call it autopilot. Of just going, all right, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll put my name down.
Yeah,
I can squeeze that in. It's actually just pausing. There is so much power in the pause to actually go, hold on a minute. How does this align with my values? How does this align with my picture of where I'm going, my vision of where I'm going, and does it fit in? Or am I doing it because I think it's going to make me feel significant and it's going to feed my self-worth?
Oh, God. But that does make me sound like I'm this, look at me. Like the client, feeding... It? I don't know, does it? It makes me feel like chasing this significance is such a self-indulgent thing.
So... tell me what you think so far. What's really come to the surface for you before I move on to a kind of a bit of a closing part for you?
Making decisions based on setting these up as kind of filters to make decisions going forward, I think is going to be quite helpful for me.
Yep.
Like I said, I used to put everything through the filter of logic and maybe a bit of... Well, it's variety and logic too. I want to do lots of things. I hate missing out. Is doing this something I've not done before, or am I going to have fun? Yes, and fucking go for it.
Yeah.
But putting it through the filter of is this adding to me, and where I want to be in 5 years or whatever that time frame happens to be, then that's probably a more helpful filter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it keeps you a little bit more on track in terms of actually where am I going. And so it's just practice for you, but getting that clarity about this is where I'm at, this is where I'm going, and here's my intentions.
Yeah.
And what's important to me is having variety. It's about having fun, but it's also about, achieving.
Yeah.
But if you don't know where you're going or what that achievement looks like or success looks like, then what's your pathway?
Yeah.
Because every day will just happen as opposed to you driving it to be intentional.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you hadn't sought the help around your money situation, for example, where would you be?
Hate to think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you see, frameworks work, intention works, and it's good. It makes you feel good. You get the dopamine hits.
Yeah.
So for you, also, I think just another area is your purpose and your why. Like, what is the purpose of what you do? What is the deeper meaning behind what you actually do? And I think, when you get that understanding, it really helps. And it's like the purpose is that deeper reason you exist doing the stuff that you do. What does it really mean to you?
That's a pretty big question there, so.
Yeah.
But it's literally something I've never considered. I mean, now that I'm a dad, there's a huge purpose in that to raise cool kids that have a good set of values.
Yeah, and that's great.
And respect for other people and
Yep.
honesty, integrity, all the stuff you'd hope are preloaded.
Yeah, yeah. And that's an easy one, hey? Because you have your kids and you go, I know what that's.
That's an easy answer.
Exactly. But what about your work? What's your purpose behind that?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Can you answer that one for me? I don't know.
Go back to...
I turn up and it's to pay the bills. But it's a fun way of paying the bills. It's a job that I enjoy doing in order to pay the bills.
Yeah, but why? Why do you enjoy it?
Is it meant to come back to significance?
I'm not telling you.
Am I meant to join the dots back?
It's what is the impact that you want to make?
I like being
What's
a
the
communicator.
contribution that you want to make? Your communication, yeah. Okay.
I mean, that's why media was always, it was a form of communication. I enjoy communicating with people, meeting new people. But again, sharing. Now in my career, I like sharing knowledge that I've built with other people,
which is a form of communication.
Yeah.
Sharing knowledge,
making some kind of creative mark.
So there's your value.
Yeah.
Creativity.
Yeah.
Can you be creative in this role?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's where my boss has identified that, nuts and bolts and crossing I's and dotting T's is not my strong suit, but creativity is. So how do we funnel your job into more creative-based stuff?
Great boss to recognise that.
Yeah. But now it's recognising it in myself, and I have, and now I'm like, well, maybe that is where I should head even more, is into an even more creative role. And this is where having the podcast is another outlet of being creative. And there's a purpose in the podcast too, which has been to help people recognise when they need help, and talking about money. So that's something positive, I guess.
And can you see how that ties back to your communication that you're really passionate about?
Totally. And it's
a vehicle for you to communicate.
And if we're connecting all the dots here, now that I'm speaking out loud, this is probably the pathway in my career that I had opportunities to follow and didn't for fear of failure.
Yeah.
But being a presenter or on air, which I had multiple cracks at and could definitely have committed to it, but I kept saying yes to everything else and didn't take those opportunities where I could have been very significant in terms of recognition, and I could have been very popular being a radio guy.
Yeah.
Didn't. Now I have an outlet to do this, and I quite love it.
You quite love it.
Yeah.
So it really gets you in here. Yep. And so that is where you want to look in terms of your purpose and why you do what you do, because it's heartfelt. It's not driven from I want to be someone significant, I want to prove myself value. It's actually really heart-based that you're going, I can use this as a communication tool. I'm changing lives. And the podcast is amazing around the money in terms of value that.
Yeah. And we got to share our, me and Laura's story, which was, an opportunity to be vulnerable in a sense that I don't often get to do in my normal job.
No, and by doing that, what are you doing for other people?
Yeah.
Out of it, what difference is it making for other people?
Oh, we've had messages on the Instagram account saying thank you so much for having these conversations. We reached out to enable me just like you did, and you've changed our lives, which was
There you go. And how does that feel?
Oh, it was amazing. That was one message, but it was a pretty powerful one. Yeah.
And so it gets you in here, and so you think, how do I get more of that?
Yeah. Well, that certainly gives me purpose.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And so when you look at
Rather
that
than
lens,
rather than a 2K pay rise every now and then, it's like someone's
Exactly, yeah.
actually said that you've helped change their life in a positive way. It's pretty cool.
I know, and you know, that's about a big part of being human, is about contribution, about what we give to others, and contribution is something that really fills us up in terms of fulfillment, to be able to give to others, to make a difference to others. It's outward facing. It's not about me. It's actually about helping other people and giving people, you know, opportunities.
That's funny because you said contribution was one of the factors before, and I said
Your drivers.
I'm not charitable, so that's not me, but I am doing it in a different way.
You are, and that's again that mind. Changing mindsets around what words mean. So contribution, often people think, oh, I don't really give much to charity or whatever, or give my time to charities. It's like, it's not about that. It's about what are you giving to the world, you know? And that's the stuff that really motivates us and makes us feel good and fills us up from the inside, rather than existing on the outside to go, did anyone say something good about me? Did I get that promotion? Did I get invited to that party?
Yeah.
Why didn't I get invited to that event? Why wasn't I chosen?
Yeah.
Because that's external
Noise.
And what we've just talked about is that internal deep connection of value and feeling so connected with giving something out to other people that's worthy and feels good. And so I think you already have a huge amount of that, but you just haven't connected with it in terms of how that works in your life.
Yeah.
And if you spent a bit of time just reflecting on that and going, where does that play up in other things that I do, it will suddenly change your lens of meaning behind stuff that might have very little meaning, or you think, oh, God, do I really have to do this?
Yeah.
That you change the lens and you go, no, because I can see how this is contributing to something from in me externally, helping other people.
Yeah.
And if you could live more like that, how does that feel?
Yeah, well, every day would feel pretty rewarding by default, rather than having to chase it. It would kind of just be there all the time because you've planned for it to be there, right?
Yep. Yep.
Intentionally.
Makes a big difference. So I think out of the conversations that we've had, even though they've been very short, we've spent very little time discussing you and your inner workings and what you want. But what I just want to summarize it, which will be helpful for other listeners listening to this, is that the awareness of self is so important. That when you see how you exist, what drives you, what purpose you have, what goals you're achieving, it suddenly puts meaning into every single day. And the more work that you do on that space, the more fulfilling life will become, because you will become so intentional. You'll see how things keep working out. It's almost like that serendipity that because you're so intentional and you know where you're going and what you want, things will just be thrown in your path.
Yeah.
And you'll go, whoa, this is amazing. Happens all the time to people, but it's turning that switch. So for anyone, including yourself, I would spend the time to really look at your values and go, where are they working? Where are they not working? Where do I put more intention into them showing up? Understanding your drivers, your limiting beliefs, the stuff that's driving you for the wrong reasons, that you unpack and go, I see, what that story is just like for me. I know I'm wanted.
Yeah. I'm
hugely wanted. And so that story that I had of me not being wanted has dulled into the background. And looking at your goals, where you're going. You've got a great example with your money goal now, your finances.
Yeah.
a framework, a way of being. How do you apply that lens, but on a shorter term basis, to what you want to achieve in all those other areas on that compass of life? And finally, that purpose and why, understanding that purpose. And I think you've just really grasped onto something just then about that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see how that's actually coming out to play, and it makes me feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is why it's so important, for self-leadership to reach out to someone like you. If it's personal finance, you talk to a financial coach like Enable Me, because being given that third eye, the perspective on what it could be, often is just all you need to remove that blur I was talking about and go, this is actually where you could be in 5 years, 10 years, 13 years, whatever it is. Just that little switch flick from someone else to go, what about this? So helpful.
It gets that clarity.
Yeah.
And one of the other things I would say to you is the more that you can connect in with your feelings of where that goal is that you want, or what you want to achieve, you will achieve it because you feel it and you're more connected to it. Just like your financial goals, you can see it. You can see the difference it's going to make, and you're already kind of feeling, it's going to feel so good. I want that. I'm going to make it happen.
So that's it. Values, purpose, and the decisions that shape us. And ultimately, I hope you can connect the dots with me here, how we handle goals and vision around money. If there is one takeaway, it's this. Money isn't just numbers in an account. It's a reflection of what matters to you, what drives you, and what you're willing to work for. It's the part we don't always talk about on the Finance Pod, but it is the part that really counts. Huge thanks to Sue Kohn-Taylor for helping me lay it all out. Check out SueKohn-Taylor.com if you want to find out more about how she can train you into a state of nirvana when it comes to personal leadership. And thanks to you for listening. Hopefully this episode gives you a bit of perspective on your own values and what drives your money moves. You think about that, and I'll keep asking that question. Where's my money? Huge thanks to Enable Me for sponsoring this episode of Where's My Money. Navigating finances can be tricky. Take control of your finances and break the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. Get tips and insights on budgeting, managing debt, and saving money with Enable Me, helping Kiwis get money fit.